Imagine you're the most powerful ruler on Earth. You've got an army of 2 million soldiers, you've got infinite money, you've got people who bow down and kiss the ground you walk on. Everything is going great, and then a storm happens. And your response? You grab a whip and you whip the ocean. Yeah, we're talking about the time a king literally declared war on water. And honestly, this story gets more unhinged the deeper you go. Alright, so let's set the scene. It's around 480 BC. The place? Ancient Persia. And we're talking about Xerxes I. And this guy was basically the definition of my dad is richer than your dad energy. His dad, Darius the Great, had built the biggest empire the world had ever seen. We're talking from Egypt to India. This was the superpower moment. And when Darius died, he passed everything to his son Xerxes, who looked at his massive inheritance and said, "You know what? This is cool, but I can do cooler." Xerxes was convinced he was basically a god. No, seriously, his people actually treated him like one. So this guy had some interesting ideas about his own power level. Now, across the sea from Persia, there's this pesky little place called Greece. And Greece was not impressed with Persia's whole ruling the world thing. The Greeks had been causing problems for years, rebelling, fighting back, being generally annoying to the Persian Empire. Xerxes looked at the problem and did what any confident ruler would do. He decided to just walk into Greece and conquer it. Sounds simple, right? Wrong. Very wrong. Here's the thing. Between Persia and Greece, there's this body of water called the Hellespont. It's about 1 kilometer wide. Not massive, but also it's water, and water means you need a way across. So Xerxes, and I want you to sit with this for a second, decided to build a bridge. Not just any bridge, this dude ordered his engineers to build a boat bridge across the entire Hellespont. We're talking thousands of boats all lashed together with cables made from papyrus and flax. This thing was enormous. It was basically the ancient world's equivalent of a modern mega project. The engineers worked for months. It was supposed to be one of the greatest engineering feats ever. The army was lined up and ready to march across. Xerxes was probably standing there imagining his conquest of Greece, feeling very accomplished. And then a storm happened. Now, I want you to imagine being in that moment. You've spent months building something. Everyone's been working their tails off. And one night, boom, a storm rolls in and destroys the entire bridge, just demolishes it. All those boats? Gone. All that engineering? Washed away. Thousands of man-hours? In the ocean. Most people, when something like this happens, would do one of 3 things: cry, redesign the bridge, or try a different route. Xerxes, however, was not most people. Xerxes was furious, like genuinely cosmically angry. And here's where it gets absolutely unhinged. He decided that the ocean had personally insulted him. Not the storm, the ocean itself. So he gathered some soldiers, walked down to the water, and ordered them to whip the sea. And not just a gentle whip, we're talking full-force punishment beatings. He literally ordered soldiers to whip water, as if the water could feel pain and learn its lesson. I want you to really sit with how bizarre this is. This is the most powerful man on Earth. He has an incomprehensibly large army. He can do literally anything. And his solution to a destroyed bridge is to assault the ocean with whips. The ancient historian Herodotus wrote that Xerxes also supposedly had the sea branded with hot irons. I'm not 100% sure that's physically accurate to how that would work, but the intent was clear. Xerxes wanted to punish water. He was that angry. One of his generals, and this guy deserves a medal for what I'm about to tell you, looked at Xerxes during this whipping session and basically said, my lord, this isn't really working." Xerxes apparently got even more mad and ordered that general to be beaten too, just for having the audacity to suggest that whipping the ocean was ineffective. Dude was spiraling. But here's where the story gets interesting, because Xerxes eventually had to actually solve the problem. Like, you can only whip the ocean for so long before you realize it's not accomplishing anything. So he sent for his best engineers and said basically, build me another bridge, but this time make it better. Make it so strong that the ocean knows it can't mess with me again. And they did. The engineers came back and built 2 new boat bridges, even more elaborate than the first. This time, they used cables made of papyrus and linen, twisted together. They added anchors. They positioned boats at intervals. It was actually a pretty impressive feat of engineering for the time.
The second bridge held. The army started crossing, and Xerxes, he personally walked across the bridge while being held under a golden umbrella. Because apparently, after assaulting the ocean, you need some shade. Here's the thing though, and this is where history gets its revenge. That bridge that Xerxes built to invade Greece, it became the beginning of the end for him. See, Xerxes managed to get his massive army into Greece. They won some battles. It was looking bad for the Greeks. But the Greeks were clever. They had better strategy. They understood their own landscape. And eventually, the Persians got defeated. The invasion failed, Xerxes had to retreat, and when he retreated, he basically had to cross that bridge again, except this time in defeat. The ocean that he had whipped, the ocean that he thought he had proven his dominance over, it had technically defeated him. Not directly, of course. It was the Greeks who did the actual defeating. But symbolically, the ocean had the last laugh. Xerxes did eventually make it home. He wasn't killed or overthrown or anything dramatic. He lived for several more years, ruling the Persian Empire, probably still being convinced he was a god. He eventually died around 465 BC and his son took over. But here's the thing, Xerxes' failed invasion of Greece became a turning point in history. See, before this, the Persian Empire was winning. They were the superpower. Everyone was convinced they were unbeatable. Then Greece, this coalition of tiny city-states that weren't even united, managed to stop the Persian invasion. Suddenly, Greece was like, wait, we can actually do this? And that confidence, that belief that they could compete with the Persian superpower, that changed everything. It led to the golden age of Athens. It led to the explosion of Greek philosophy, art, democracy, and culture. It led to Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, the whole 9 yards. All because Xerxes couldn't figure out that you can't whip an ocean into submission. And the kicker, the bridge itself became legendary. Herodotus wrote about it. Ancient writers couldn't stop talking about the king who whipped the sea. It became the symbol of Xerxes' arrogance and the limits of power. Xerxes wanted to be remembered as the greatest king ever. He is remembered, just not in the way he hoped. So what does a 2,500-year-old story about a guy whipping the ocean have to do with today? Actually, everything. See, Xerxes represents something that's still incredibly common, the inability to accept that there are things you can't control. He literally had everything, money, power, soldiers, resources, but he couldn't accept that a storm had destroyed his bridge. Instead of thinking rationally, he tried to dominate something that couldn't be dominated. It's like if someone today had a multi-billion-dollar project, and when something unexpected happened, their solution was just to get angrier and refuse to adapt. Also, and this is important, Xerxes is a reminder that being powerful doesn't make you wise. You can have the biggest military, you can have the most money, you can control more land than anyone else, but if your strategy is whip the problem until it goes away, you're probably going to fail. The Greeks won, not because they were more powerful, but because they were smarter. They understood their terrain, they had better tactics, they adapted to circumstances. Xerxes just kept trying to brute force his way to victory. And that's something we see all the time in modern history too. People and organizations with massive resources fail because they don't adapt. They just keep doing the same thing harder while expecting different results. Xerxes' bridge also represents the hubris of believing that humanity can completely control nature. We see that play out in modern climate change debates. We see it in large-scale infrastructure projects that fail because people underestimate natural forces. The ocean didn't care that Xerxes had 2 million soldiers. It didn't care that he was the king. It just did ocean things. And that's genuinely humbling. So there you have it. The time a king whipped the ocean. It sounds silly. It is silly. But it's also a story about how even the most powerful people in the world can't escape the limits of reality.
Xerxes thought he could dominate nature, dominate geography, dominate an entire continent through sheer force and arrogance. Instead, his empire eventually fell apart, and the Greeks went on to create the foundation for Western civilization. And it all started with a bridge, a storm, and one very angry king who genuinely believed that whipping water would make a difference. History is weird, y'all. If you like this video, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories about people making genuinely unhinged decisions that changed the world. And let me know in the comments, if you were in Xerxes' position, what's the craziest thing you would have done? Stay curious, stay entertained.